US data analytics company Palantir has published a 22-point manifesto on X, outlining its views on military service, the international order, and the future of warfare. Palantir is a Silicon Valley firm that builds software used by governments, militaries, and intelligence agencies to analyze massive data sets in areas like defense, policing, and healthcare. The manifesto calls for the reinstatement of compulsory national service and for undoing what it describes as the post-Second World War neutering of Germany and Japan. It argues that the atomic age is over and has been replaced by an AI era in which the future hard power will be built on software. It draws heavily on a book by the co-founder Alex Karp to be published soon. Palantir presents AI-driven warfare as inevitable, saying the key question is who will develop these technologies and for what purpose. Lukasz Olejnik is a visiting senior research fellow in the Department of War Studies at King's College London. Welcome to DW. Before we get your thoughts on the manifesto, outline for us, please, the size and scope of what Palantir does, because data analytics company sounds rather boring and innocuous, and I get the impression they're anything but that.
It's anything but boring. It's technology-first company that is can support decision-making, which may power activity during warfare, like surveillance or targeting on the battlefield, perhaps. It's also known that it assisted in some decision in law enforcement activities in the US, for example. So in general, it may work with militaries and does work with governments and militaries worldwide.
Okay, so this is a company that can just scoop up acres and acres of data and turn that data into information that that militaries and law enforcement and indeed governments can actually use.
Precisely. It basically transforms raw data into data points, connects the dots, and extracts some insights, but also may aid in live decisions.
Okay, so when a company like that's involved in those sort of businesses calls for things like the return of national service, an end to what it says is the neutering of Japan and Germany, and talks about the inevitability of AI warfare, what goes through your mind?
So I am genuinely fascinated with the manifesto. So it's known that the links between companies and states are going, back to several ages ago, think like East India Company, but indeed it may sound very powerfully today that a company is basically calling for policy changes in a state, including changing the entire strategies, bringing back conscription. On the other hand, we should not be that much surprised, because the return to conscription, this debate is actually in full swing in Europe. So some states are already bringing it back, others are debating it. Even Germany considers such changes today. So this should not be so shocking, at least in European Union today. You surely know how European states considered, let's say, Russian-related risks. So
yes, okay. So we're going to
risk from Russia.
We'll come to some of those points. Let's start with the technology of the moment, AI. And the first quote I want to pick out from this is, the question is not whether AI weapons will be built, it is who will build them and for what purpose. Our adversaries will not pause to indulge in theatrical debates about the merits of developing technologies with critical military and national security applications. They will proceed. So I guess this, of course, comes after the Pentagon fell out with that AI company Anthropic, who insisted that their tools could not be used in a fully autonomous weapon system. This is a live issue.
It's a current issue for sure. So, autonomous weapon systems, lethal autonomous weapon systems are on the agenda for several years now. Definitely, we have a peak discussion now because of the reasoning capabilities of AI and the emerging feasibility, the possibility of actually deploying and fielding powerful AI assisted or AI driven weapons systems. So, yes, that's a very current debate. And Palantir's argument is essentially that someone will do that eventually. So either you stand in the race or basically surrender, and they advocate for not surrendering because it's just a matter of time. It's a matter of time. So people, humanity, need to understand that such changes cannot be stopped.
All right, so this is a technology that is going to happen, that is here now. How constrained should warring countries be by ethics?
That's also a really hot topic, and this is an actual elephant in the room for several years, including predating the current AI revolution. The point is that what are the limits of autonomy? What should be accepted? Can we defer decisions about lethal strikes to the machine, to the algorithm? What about the principle of humanity? Can we assess live the proportionality and the effects of the applied force? Because humanity, principle of humanity enshrined in international humanitarian law like Geneva Convention require that no excessive force is applied in order to achieve military advantage, military objectives. But imagine future battlefields where warfare happens fast. It may be very difficult, if even possible at all, to assess and estimate the effects live. So
Right.
imagine, yeah.
So this is a technology that we can't necessarily control. Away from AI, there are some really interesting points in here. Point 21 in this manifesto, this seems, well, dodgy, to use an English phrase. It says some cultures have produced vital advances, others remain dysfunctional and regressive. All cultures are now equal. Criticism and value judgments are forbidden. Yet this new dogma glosses over the fact that certain cultures and indeed subcultures have produced wonders. Others have proven middling and worse, regressive and harmful. Would you care to tiptoe through that minefield?
Indeed, that's the sticking point, and it might indeed be very controversially received, especially in Europe and in context of the public output of the previous 15 years. So it's a sensitive topic. Multiculturalism is a sensitive topic. Immigration is a sensitive topic. And essentially here someone comes and points a finger that, hey, there are better and well, less better, perhaps worse cultures out there, and cultures are not equal. So this is usually not something you expect from a technology company such as Signal.
So why do it? Why do you think they chose to put that out there?
That's a politically aligned direction, and they essentially say it's an argument in the current debate in domestically in the United States, whether to honor every culture equally, or whether perhaps there should be some kind of common binding principles, like common principles in United States and perhaps common principles in European Union.
Yeah, or it could be argued that this is just a way for a big tech company to curry favour with the current US administration?
Well, you could also say so.
All right. Let's have a look at point 6. Point 6 concerns national service, which Palantir says should be a universal duty. We should, as a society, they say, seriously consider moving away from an all-volunteer force and only fight the next war if everyone shares in the risk and the cost. Again, this is a live issue here in Germany and indeed across Europe as we learn the lessons of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Interesting, though, that the argument for conscription is so often made by people who would be too old to be considered.
That's an interesting point. On the other hand, when you see on to the polls, it's actually a mixed bag. You may have divisions across ages, but also gender, sexes. So women may think something else, men may consider something else. But then turn to Switzerland. They have a universal military draft conscription, military service, and it works there for a very, very long time. See to the politics, for example, see to systems like in Sweden or Finland, you may have very various differing models that are functioning, and considering the big picture, especially in Europe. I don't think that we should consider such a point controversial in Europe, at least not now. May understand that such a point could be controversial here 15 years ago when nobody would consider the actual reality of European position geographically, but today it shouldn't be controversial in Europe at least.
Thanks for joining us, Lukasz Olejnik from King's College London.
Thank you very much.